Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. Chelsea speak out of a Caicedo sacking his agent and give us an update on his contract renewal. Enzo Maresca is wanted by a club in the Serie A. Chelsea will face competition for Adam Wharton's signature and a price tag has been revealed. And Chelsea are looking to start negotiations with Kenan Yildiz. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k subscribers by the end of 2025. You can also use the hype button, which is a new YouTube feature which helps push this video out to a bigger audience. Kicking things off, Matt Law has reported that Chelsea have no concerns that Moises Caicedo's decision to change agents will impact his future or situation. Sources close to the player describe Caicedo as a humble character who would not attempt to enhance his personal situation in public. Moises Caicedo is expected to be rewarded for his performances and standing within the Chelsea squad, but this could be done through adjustments to his current deal or triggering certain performance-related bonuses. The Telegraph have reported that Telegraph Sport understands that Barat has never been Caicedo's agent and has only helped to advise the Ecuador international on his career. They continue to say that Palmer and Jackson's new contracts last summer are viewed slightly different to Caicedo. Caicedo joined the club on a much higher wage than those two players. Caicedo is expected to be rewarded for his performances and standing within the Chelsea squad. Now, I find this very interesting that Chelsea have come out almost immediately after the statement was posted and removed by Caicedo that he's dropped his agents, Ali Barat and I can't remember the other guy, but Epic essentially, worldwide agency or whatever it may be, the two agents that helped the move from Brighton to Chelsea. And we spoke about this in depth yesterday, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. I just thought it was very interesting to react to the news from the club and obviously other journalists around the situation since the news has dropped. I find it very surprising that Chelsea felt the need to kind of come out and say, you know, he's a stand-up guy. He's not looking to enhance his public image. This doesn't really change anything for his situation, because I didn't think it would anyway. We can kind of gather what Moises Caicedo's personality is like based on the way that he acts on the pitch, the way he acts off the pitch, and the sort of things that you see of him behind the scenes. The guy clearly loves the club. The guy's clearly got a heart of gold. Just loves playing football. He's very grateful for the position he's in, and he wants to give his all and play for the badge on his chest. And we absolutely love him for that. I find it very interesting that they also mention his contract. I think it's very valuable information, to be fair, because obviously this new contract negotiation with Caicedo has been going on for quite a while now. I think we first started reacting to it like back end of last season. So we're talking about what, like April, May-ish time. And obviously across the summer it was spoke about briefly, but there's obviously so many wild transfer stories going around that's what we were mainly covering. And nothing's really been said since, other than the stories yesterday about the agents being dropped and him now using his family members as essentially his agents and guidance for his career, which something I didn't touch on yesterday is actually a really cool thing, because that means any agent fees that he would have had to pay now goes directly to his family. So we can actually sort them out as well for anything that happens in terms of, you know, anywhere an agent is needed. And I find that a very humbling thing, a very wholesome thing, that he's trying to help out everyone around him while I'm sure he does that anyway, but again, he's extending sort of like his wealth to his family, and I think that's the right thing to do, as long as they know what they're doing in that sense and they don't kind of sign anything or agree to anything that, you know, could potentially be a detriment to whatever he's signing to, which I highly doubt, because he's obviously got a lot of money to then get the right lawyers to make sure he's not signed. I'm digressing anyway, but I find it interesting because Caicedo obviously joined on a higher wages. I think we all knew that, and I think the discussion with Cole Palmer's contract like renewal in terms of wages and salary and stuff like that was kind of like, oh, I can't believe Cole was on such little money compared to the output he was putting on the pitch. He's one of the best players in the world. He outright deserves whatever money that he's asking. And we know that with Chelsea have got this sort of performance-based wage enhancement, and they stagger things. So this is nothing new, but obviously with Caicedo's wages being higher when he came in, he's still performed to an unbelievable standard, and he is one of, if not the best player in our squad. It's very hard for me to pick between Cole Palmer and Caicedo. They play very different roles, but in terms of ability and what they can do on the pitch, they are so close in terms of how class they are. So I feel like Chelsea coming out and saying we're not in a rush to kind of give him a new contract because there are things in place that, you know, he will be rewarded for his performances, and rightly so. Whatever that guy is on, double it, triple it, I don't care. Whatever he asks for, sign the deal, because this guy is unbelievable. But I just find it very interesting that Chelsea have come out to kind of like, not defend themselves, but just kind of reiterate and be like, nothing's going to change in Caicedo's situation. You know, obviously the contract renewal is something that we're going to be talking about. It's slightly different to Jackson's and Palmer's and what we did last year, which makes a lot of sense if he's on more wages. And, I'm glad that the club have basically said, we know what Moises is like as a person. He's not trying to do this to enhance his image, to try and get more money out of the club. I think it was just, I'm assuming it was a miscommunication within his camp of whether or not he should have posted it. He's posted it and then removed it. So, but like I said, the internet lasts forever. People obviously caught wind of it, so they've come out and addressed it, which I think is a good thing. It's also a bit strange as well, of kind of like, we kind of knew that, well, I said this yesterday, I didn't think anything bad was going to come of this. I don't think Caicedo was trying to leverage this for more money. I just feel like he's probably one of these people that just wants to share things and just say, like, this is what's going on. Or his team are like, oh yeah, this is something worth putting out there to the fans, just to let people know. I don't think there was any sort of ill intentions with it to say, if we put this out, we can then force the negotiations for a new contract. I don't know. Caicedo just doesn't strike me as the type of person to be like that. I don't want to put words in his mouth or, make an assumption, because who can you trust? But yeah, I just don't feel that there's any malicious intentions. And I fully agree with what the club has said about this and all the reports. It kind of all makes sense. He's not trying to enhance his public image. He's not forcing more money. And it's quite nice that the club have reiterated saying he's already on a lot of money, but don't worry. We're not in a rush to give him a new contract, but we will be rewarding him for his performances, and rightly so. So I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Moises Caicedo's new contract. Would you just give him a brand new contract? Do you feel like his wages should be bumped up significantly? What would you realistically pay him a week? What would you realistically pay this guy a week? What is he worth to you on paper? Because it'll be very interesting to get people's thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. Matt Moretto had reported that Juventus appreciate and rate Enzo Maresca, and he is potentially an option for the future. And his full quote is, there is a club in Italy that's closely following Enzo Maresca's matches at Chelsea and appreciates his quality as a coach. There are no talks or negotiations at the moment. It's more of a long-term idea. Enzo used to play for this club. It's Juventus. However, Fabrizio Romano reported what Enzo Maresca said in a recent interview, and he says, Chelsea is a legendary, enormous club. The strategy now is to proceed with long contracts, trust young players. Football business then is about results. In this moment, results are good, and we are all very happy. Now, there's a reason why I put these three things together. Obviously, the interest here is Juventus are keeping an eye on Enzo Maresca. I think he'd do very well as a coach anywhere he goes. I think he's a very good manager. He's obviously still very early on in his managerial career. As a coach, because they're two very separate things in my opinion, I think he's a fantastic coach. What he can get out of these young players, what he's got out of that Chelsea squad. Yes, there's been lapses of judgment here and there. There's been mistakes that he's made, but he seems to be learning from them very, very quickly. In that first season, a lot of fans were screaming out that we were too rigid tactically. That changed and adapted over the season. And again, into the Club World Cup, we tried new things. The players have now settled in. They'll run through brick walls for Enzo Maresca right now. We won a couple of titles under them in terms of the Conference League and the Club World Cup. He's doing everything right with the tools he has available. Now, yes, we can question the recruitment, we can question the sporting directors and the owners and the way that they're moving, but everyone seems to be pulling the boat in the same direction. And Maresca's kind of confirmed this, that Chelsea is a legendary and enormous club. I love it when people talk about our club like that, because we are, regardless of what rival fans say. And that's why one of the reasons why we love our club so much, because we've seen it grow over time and over our lifetimes and generations before us. And it's amazing to hear that, and amazing to feel that is reciprocated by people that come in, whether it is players or managers. And I feel like he genuinely means it. I don't know why he would say that for the sake of it. He clearly loves the fans, loves the club, loves the players, loves his job, and more importantly, loves football. So I'm not surprised that other clubs are keeping an eye. Juventus makes sense. He has an affiliation of playing there. And again, Matt Moretto said there's no communications, no negotiations. It's just a thought for the long term that they're looking at Enzo Maresca. Now, what I will say is what Maresca said in terms of the strategy now is basically results. Results are going good at the moment and everyone's happy. We have had that blip very early in the season. We'll see how this season plays out. But based on when he's come in to where we are now, I think he's done very, very well. I think you'd be hard to argue that he hasn't with the trophies he's won, etc. Regardless of the recruitment, etc., with the tools he has available. Yes, he's made mistakes, not been perfect, but he's definitely making his way. And I feel sorry for Juventus, because they're just going to have to sit back and wait and see what happens with Enzo Maresca at Chelsea, because if he keeps succeeding, he's going to be here a long time. And it'll be very interesting to see what the board of directors and the owners do at the end of this season. Obviously, a lot of it's results based, because they said they're going to give Enzo Maresca that 2-year review, not 1 year and year after year. He's in a 5-year deal, And that first review comes after the second season. Now, they even said that, they wanted to qualify for the Champions League in the second season of his reign. And we did that a season early and won 2 trophies, which clearly wasn't on. Maybe the Conference League was because of the situation, how they analysed it, and a lot of people expected us to win it because we were in it for the sake of it. So maybe that was on the list, I don't know. But Enzo even said himself that we were well ahead of schedule, and we've gone on and won 2 trophies. So I feel like he is safe as long as this season we do improve and we don't go backwards. And that's all I'm hoping, that after this international break, which, oh my God, it's so close to ending, people. It's so close to ending. We come back to the domestic football this weekend, early kickoff on a Saturday against Nottingham Forest. It's going to be a tough game. But if we have a good run of results, we go into Christmas, good run of results. Essentially, if we have a good season, good domestic cup runs, good run in the Champions League, good push in the Premier League to see how far we can, or how close we can get to the top, I think he's safe. And I'd be more than happy to give this guy time. I think right now, it is all down to the recruitment side of things. That's just my opinion, though. I think it is just down to the recruitment. I think Maresca is doing everything he can with the tools and resources available. Yes, there are players that are here to develop, players that will develop under his reign, and there are players that are going to get more of a chance, like your Josh Ashenpongs, and a lot of other youngsters too. Obviously, you've got the likes of Jamie Gittins, which still needs to adapt, still needs to kind of put his print onto the squad. Garnacho's new. Obviously, he has Prem experience. He looks sharper and sharper every time he plays. We'll see how he comes good across the season. Esteval is going to be growing into his role. That guy's fantastic, having an incredible international break as well. So I feel like Chelsea are in a very good position right now. It's just the results side of things from Maresca's side. But from the recruitment, that's where we go, right, what are we doing in January? What are we doing in the summer? Because if we keep buying youngsters for development and youngsters for potential, you can go down a slippery slope. And we know this. We spoke about this a lot. We also have a lot of players coming into the squad at the end of this season or the summer of next season, right? Which is your Quendas and your Anselminos, Mamadou Sarr's coming back from loan, Kendry Paez, etc. What we're doing with Penders. So it'll be very interesting to see how the club handle that and what Maresca wants to do with this squad, and obviously what we can achieve this season. But I feel extremely positive because on our day, we can beat absolutely anyone. And we've proved that in the Conference League final, being 1-0 down and coming back and winning 4-1. We've proved it in the Club World Cup when we beat PSG and absolutely battered them across the pitch. And we proved it again against Liverpool where we absolutely dominated them at home and got the result in the last minute. They're just 3 games that I've cherry-picked. But there's been lots of times across Maresca's reign where I feel like we can go on and beat anyone. It's just a matter of consistency, in my opinion, and that is something we definitely need to work on. If we have more consistency this season, we are in for a treat as Chelsea fans. But that's just my thoughts and opinions. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Do you feel that Enzo Maresca will be at Chelsea for a long time? Do you feel like the board will be looking to get rid of him at the end of this season, end of next? Do you feel like he will be a good coach for Juventus or in the Serie A? How do you feel like that will ever happen? Let me know your thoughts. Team Talk have reported that Chelsea's pursuit of Crystal Palace's standout midfielder Adam Wharton has intensified, but now they face serious competition from Manchester United. A bid of at least in the region of £70 million is required to prize the 21-year-old away from Selhurst Park. And this is very interesting because there's been a lot of rumours around Chelsea and Adam Wharton, and we spoke about him many, many times. I think he's a fantastic player. He is the heartbeat of Crystal Palace's midfield. He's definitely a standout. He's unbelievable for his age. Another player that plays with a lot of maturity, like beyond his years, if that makes sense. And I've said this many times, the youngsters coming through, the talents that are coming through at 18, 19, 20, 21, even 22, 23, they're playing like they're 27, 28 years old. Or maybe that's just me being old and football's moving way too quick. All I'm saying is the skill level is hit a different ceiling. I'm not saying he's going to be one of the world's best, but he's a very good player. I'm not surprised that Chelsea facing competition with the likes of Manchester United. They're clearly on the cusp of a rebuild. They definitely need to change some of their squad around. Whether Amorim is the guy to do that or not is a different story. £70 million seems like a lot of money, though, for Adam Wharton, who, if I'm being brutally honest, I don't know how he gets into our midfield currently. With the likes of Asugo, Santos, Enzo, Caicedo, Lavia. Now, we know that Lavia is a bit injury prone. We know Asugo is currently in recovery from a surgery. Hopefully he can stay fit. Santos is pretty robust, doesn't get a lot of injuries, but we'll soon see how he kind of pans out across the season. So with those 5, packing that sort of section of the midfield, and then you look at the attacking side of the midfield with the left wingers, which he doesn't play, the attacking mid, which he doesn't play, the right wing, which he doesn't play. Where is he going to play in this midfield? Because I do not see Enzo Maresca changing his system to accommodate Adam Wharton, and I really don't see Chelsea spending £70 million or thereabouts to have a player like Adam Wharton, a player of his abilities, to sit on the bench. It makes literally no sense to me. So the only thing that I think could happen is we sell the likes of, I don't know, we move on Asugo, or we move on Andre Santos, or we move on Romeo Lavia, and then we have, if one of those players goes, whoever remains stays alongside Enzo and Caicedo, because we know that Caicedo and Enzo are the Chelsea first starting partnership in that midfield. Unless someone knocks them off their pedestal, I don't see Caicedo being dropped, let's be honest, even if Asugo is basically a Caicedo regen already, which is wild because he's a fantastic player from what we've seen. But Caicedo is Caicedo. We don't have him in that midfield. We fold like deck chairs. Yes, we can survive without him, but long term, it will be very detrimental to us. So then I think about Enzo, and I think he is also a key part of Chelsea's squad. I think he's a key part for Enzo Maresca. He's a key part behind the scenes at Cobham, as many players have come out and said. There's also links for him to go Real Madrid. There is every single international break. And ever since we signed him, they've just been talking about it and lurking in the shadows, going, we want Enzo Fernandez. Potentially we sell him for mega money next season, but I honestly can't see it. I'll be very surprised if it happens because of the way that Enzo's situated in the club right now. But who knows? You never know what happens with footballers. They go for a myriad of reasons. That could potentially happen. That opens a door for another player, but I just don't know. I don't know would you swap Enzo Fernandez for Adam Wharton? I think Adam Wharton's a fantastic player, but I just don't see how he gets into our midfield right now. Like I said, I don't see Chelsea spending £70 million on someone to sit on the bench. So we know what they're like with their young players. We know that they want to keep building for the future. I do feel like we're at a point now where our main 11 and squad have played together for a little bit longer, minus a few new sort of injections like your Estevals, etc. But the core and the spine have played together for a couple seasons now. But yeah, I don't know, £70 million. I mean, if we were looking for Adam Wharton to come in straight away and be that starting 11 player, yeah, back it 100%. If anything, that's fairly cheap for a player, who's young, who's English, who's talented. Obviously, Palace are very, very hard to negotiate with, as we found out with the Elise deal, etc. However, that's their price. They don't want to lose him, so they're slapping 70 million on him. Could you see him going to United? Because I could. I think out of the two, if Wharton had to choose, where would you go? Somewhere you guarantee game time, or somewhere like Chelsea? I don't really know. I'm not in that player's head. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. But at the moment, it looks like an easy option to go to United, purely based on the fact that he would play every week. Whereas at Chelsea, I don't know where he would play. So I'm curious to know your thoughts down below regarding Adam Wharton. I know we spoke about him a few times, but would you take him in a Chelsea shirt? If you do, who'd you get rid of? Do you think 70 million is a fair price for Adam Wharton? Would you pay that? Do you think he's worth more? Do you think he's worth less? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below, because I'm very curious to know your thoughts. Tutto Sport has reported just in, Chelsea are prepared to offer Kenan Yildiz a €10 million a year contract. Talks between the player and Juventus are stalling. Now this excites me because Kenan Yildiz is an unbelievable player. The age he is and the skill level he's performing at, again, is just way beyond his years. He's a fantastic talent and I would take him in a heartbeat. Chelsea made a concrete offer for him in the summer that kind of went under the radar. There was a few murmurs and whispers. It was then confirmed that it happened and Juventus said no. And I don't blame them, because I think we went in for about £55 million, something along those lines. I don't know what his current release clause is. I know that his contract is up for renewal with Juventus, and according to Tutto Sport, this is just paper talk. Okay, it's not been confirmed. I just wanted to react to it, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts and opinions down below and have a conversation, because if there is an element of truth to this, Chelsea are willing to start negotiations and basically say, we'll give you €10 million a year. Please come sign for Chelsea. Now, this is a player that would elevate that left-hand side. He would elevate this Chelsea squad, in my opinion, because at the moment you've got Gittins, who looks nowhere near ready, and you've got Garnacho, who I quite like and does look sharper every time he's on the pitch. But is he the player that takes that left-hand side to a new level? I don't think so as of yet. He may go on to do that, but you bring in someone like Kenan Yildiz, that is a player that makes you go, wow. That is a player who can take on a man who can finish from pretty much anywhere. This guy, this season, only scores worldies. Start the season very, very well. Very technically gifted, can beat a man. Yeah, I just think he's fantastic. I would take him all day, every day. So if there is any element of truth to this, I'll be very, very curious, because in yesterday's video, we spoke about Chelsea coming out and saying that they are willing to spend money in January, but only for the right player that is going to take the squad to the next level. This is that type of player. I said Mark Gahey in terms of centre-back if we're going to strengthen that area. Chelsea made it very evident that they're not even looking at that. They're very confident in the defenders we have available this season. Again, that may change. There may be an opportunity in January where there are players available that will elevate us in that position. Who knows? But I feel like it's going to be it won't be a striker. It would potentially be a left winger. It would potentially, well, it won't even be a goalkeeper. It's not going to be a goalkeeper. It's not going to be a centre-back. Potentially a striker if one comes available, and potentially a left winger, because I feel like they can see now Gittins is one for the future for sure. And there is a sort of aura around it that Gittins may be loaned out. Not again, I'm just guessing at this point because he looks nowhere near ready. He is getting better when he's coming on, but you can still see that compared to everyone else, he's just not at the level we need him to be. Now, I'm not writing him off. I've been very vocal about this. I'm giving him as much time, and I'm putting any blame on him because when we signed him, I knew what we were getting. We were getting a 20-year-old with a lot of ability, who's very raw, who's done well in the Bundesliga in the short spell that he had. He doesn't know the English league. He's not played in it. It's a step up in terms of quality of league football, different styles of football. He's going to need time to adjust. Like, he just is. And I'm happy for that. I'm not using that against him. And the argument is, we look at Esteval, 18 years old, and he's coming on and he looks fearless and oozes confidence. And yeah, we're not comparing him to Esteval because there's not a lot of players you can compare to Esteval. And if I'm going to go out on a limb and say something very bold, the only player of his age group that you can compare to Esteval is someone like Lamine Yamal, because them two, unbelievable talents, wonder kids. Obviously, Lamine Yamal is doing unbelievable bits for Barcelona, and I feel like Esteval is going to follow very, very quickly. And those two players are going to be the ones to watch for the next 10 years. I really, really do. And obviously, that's not taking anything away from like your Mbappes, your Haalands, etc. But those two, in terms of pure footballing ability, are unbelievable. So I'm comparing Jamie Gittins to Esteval, it isn't fair, you know? So yeah, that could be the argument. But regardless, I digress. That left-hand side could definitely be upgraded by a player like Kenan Yildiz. And if Chelsea are serious, like they were in the summer, of trying to get this deal over the line and seeing what it would take to prize Yildiz away from Juventus, obviously, Juventus shut the door very early. But according to this, that the talks between the player and Juventus are stalling, which means there's going to be a lot of competition and a lot of clubs going in for Kenan Yildiz if he is willing to leave Juventus. So let's just hope that is the case. Let's hope that Chelsea can beat off the competition. I feel like because he is such a good quality player, a wonder kid, who's really developing very quickly and making a big impact in a big league like Serie A for a club like Juventus, Chelsea will be willing to pay that big money for him because he massively improves that left-hand side. At least in my opinion. I would like to know your thoughts down below regarding Kenan Yildiz. Do you think there's any truth to this report? Is there, if you read between the lines, can you see some concrete evidence? We did obviously bid for him seriously in the summer and it got turned away. We are very interested in this player. And if, player and Juventus talks are stalling, can Chelsea capitalise this in January? Based off of yesterday's report that we would only buy the right player. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Kenan Yildiz. Do you think he's worth 10 million euros a year? Very curious to know your thoughts. And that's the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one. And I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.